affirmative action is on like, and it's crazy because I remember Eric used to be on here talking about affirmative action hasn't helped anybody. Affirmative action hasn't helped anybody, and he's the only black manager at his job. Dynamite! Dynamite! I did want to take a second. Ketanji Brown Jackson invokes 14th Amendment history during Supreme Court voting rights hearing. So there she is. She's on the board. She's all official. She's gowned up, capped up. She's out there doing her job. So she has this great statement. I just want to play it out. I think it's worth hearing.
I don't think we can assume that just because race is taken into account that necessarily creates an equal protection problem, because I understood that we looked at the history and traditions of the Constitution, at what the framers and the founders thought about. And when I drilled down to that level of analysis, it became clear to me that the framers themselves adopted the Equal Protection Clause, the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment in a race-conscious way.
That's such an important statement to make. A race-conscious way. And let me just say this, and I'll continue to say this. Black women are going to save the fucking world. You can't tell me any other reason. They gonna save the world. A race-centric way. Because we know that the forefathers, the original ones of this country, didn't see black people as equal. Didn't even see certain white people as equal. If you spoke with a British accent, your ass was fired. But this is why diversity matters. This is why inclusion matters, because people's interpretation change based on demographic. And there's no situation. Well, is there no situation? I won't say no situation, but most situations drastically improve. Our military drastically improved once black people started joining the military. Drastically improved again when women were allowed to start joining the military. Our economic struggles. Every aspect of America was at its worst when there was less diversity. Music, trash. Sports, trash. And as you look around, it's very easy to see the places and aspects of the world with little to no diversity in America aren't as appealing. They're just not as appealing. Kentucky. All right, shit. But it's just proof that diversity and inclusion matters.
That they were, in fact, trying to ensure that people who had been discriminated against, the freedmen, during the Reconstruction period, were actually brought equal to everyone else in society. So I looked at the report that was submitted by the Joint Committee on Reconstruction, which drafted the 14th Amendment. And that report says that the entire point of the amendment was to secure rights of the freed former slaves. The legislator who introduced that amendment said that, quote, unless the Constitution should restrain them, those states will all, I fear, keep up this discrimination and crush to death the hated freedmen. That's not a race-neutral or race-blind idea in terms of the remedy. And even more than that, I don't think that the historical record establishes that the founders believed that race neutrality or race blindness was required, right? They drafted the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which specifically stated that citizens would have the same civil rights.
But basically, she's going to say that citizens have equal civil rights based on their citizenship, not the color of their skin or things that they could easily be discriminated against. It's a wonderful, simple, complex thing, but it's crazy to me that this is even up for debate or conversation because, as we all know, there's a lot of things on the docket that will definitely show up if and will bring this country to its knees if the Supreme Court chooses to rail against rail against civil rights and things of that nature. For example, interracial marriage is on the docket. Affirmative action is on the docket. And it's crazy because I remember Eric used to be on here talking about affirmative action hasn't helped anybody. Affirmative action hasn't helped anybody. And he's the only black manager at his job. It was it was crazy to see it. Like, affirmative action doesn't help anybody. I've always been the token black person at every job I've had. And I work in medical. The only black manager I ever had was at Shoe Carnival. His name was Ryan. Yeah, I've never had a black manager. I've always been the black leader in my group. Yeah. I'm the man. But a bunch of things become gay marriage. All of these things become, and I think they just ratified gay marriage, so that might not be an issue, but like abortion, things like this, we can't put this in the hands of our Supreme Court, and there's something that needs to be talked about or done about the way the Supreme Court is being brought up